Okay. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes here to get in to the broadcast. See if I can adjust my camera here. There we go. All right. As always, guys, make sure to ask some questions in the chat if you have any. We'll be answering, or I'll be answering all questions. We are going to maybe later in the week or starting next week for sure have a lot of the rest of the guys from our team on and just talk through recruiting. We'll have some episodes just specifically focused on the recruiting aspect. And like I said earlier, we'll also be having, some coaches joining us starting next week, lining that up right now. Going to have some Power 5 recruiting coordinators as we get close to the summer here, talking about what they're looking for. And we've given you guys kind of a general synopsis of what guys are looking for and everything like that. But each program, what you'll find is that they will have certain things they look for over other programs. Whereas, some programs are going to like certain metrics. Some pitching coaches, they're going to look for certain metrics. Hitting coaches are going to look for a certain metric. And there are kind of those specific metrics, and we're not talking exit velocity and everything like that. I mean, everyone's looking at those things, but there are more kind of advanced specific metrics that people like to recruit based off of, that kind of give you an idea of, in hitting, for example, rotational acceleration, which basically means how fast does your bat get up to its maximum bat speed. So if you have really high bat speed, but your rotational acceleration is low, it's an indicator that you may have trouble catching up to velocity. And on the pitcher side, obviously there's so many metrics with, horizontal break, inverted break, there's so much on the pitching side that there are going to be certain things that pitching coaches see on those metrics that they feel like allows them to project and predict how good a player is going to be. Obviously, we've talked about before, none of these things are, because he has this stat or this metric, he's going to be really good. It's not the case, but you'll find that there are particular things that a lot of coaches, they differ on how high they value certain things, everything like that. We did mention how, pitching coaches now across the board are starting to really value guys with command. And it makes sense if you think about it, just because if you can command the strike zone with all the tools now available to pitching coaches and teams in regards to developing velocity, weighted balls, throwing programs, the advanced stuff guys are doing in the weight room now, it's, that's become more of a, most schools feel like, especially at a high level, feel like they can improve velocity at least a few ticks. So if you're a high 80s, low 90s guy, they feel like, after a year or two, you're probably going to be sitting 90, 91 and touching a 3 or a 4, maybe even a 5. But the throwing strikes thing is the most valuable because it's much harder to take a kid that's got a really good fastball and doesn't have good command. It's much harder to teach those guys how to command the zone. And, I've talked about it on some broadcasts for ACC network and stuff like that about how the reason why guys that typically throw higher velocity that get to college don't have as great a command. And that's because, well, one thing, the guys that have the really high velocity and good command of, a few off-speed pitches, those are the guys that are getting drafted and signing out of high school. And so what you're left with typically, now we're not talking, obviously the top schools are going to get a few of those guys, but typically your high velocity guy in high school, his command's not as good because at the high school level, his stuff is so dominant and the strike zones are so much bigger that he's getting away with a lot of pitches that are getting called strikes. He's getting chases on pitches that he's not going to get chases on in college, or at least as consistently. So across the board, he's got all these things in high school that are kind of keeping him from really worrying about his command. And a lot of pitchers get to college baseball and they never even thought about the fact that the strike zone is much smaller. And you see a lot of freshmen, those first couple outings, they're throwing it 2 or 3 inches off the plate. And they're like, they're kind of looking at the umpire like, what happened? Well, where was that pitch? Well, the strike zones are a lot tighter now in college baseball due to the track man. And so umpires actually being able to evaluate themselves and kind of, I've called a lot of pitches 3 inches off the plate. I'm going to tighten it up on the outside corner. So really, umpires now are just getting a lot better at the college level because they have all this stuff that they can look at and improve at, just like the hitters and the pitchers do. So for the show today, guys, obviously it's just been a few minutes. We're going to let guys kind of slowly come into the stream, but we're going to cover a few more games from this past weekend. We're going to look at some MLB stuff that's going on. And really, we're going to do, obviously any recruiting questions you guys have throughout the stream. Make sure to let me know in the chat. Happy to answer all your questions. And they can be, even if you think it's a dumb question, there's no dumb questions in recruiting. And a lot of times this, what people think is, I brought up yesterday about the kid who was trying to get more playing time, and he's in college right now, and explain to him like, hey, just go up to the coach and say, listen, I know I haven't done what I need to do early in the season. This guy was coming off injury, so his command's been a little shaky, and just go up to the coach and say, listen, what do you need to see from me in bullpens during the week to kind of get some more innings on the weekend? And the coach will give you an answer, and then where to move from there. Even if you disagree with the answer, as a player, you have to understand the coach is the one who makes the decision on who's coming into the game, who's playing in the lineup. So you may think your coach knows nothing, but if he gives you an answer on what he's looking for, what he's looking for you to get back into the lineup or back into the the action in the bullpen or starting rotation, stuff like that. So always recommend just have conversation with your coaches. No coach is ever going to be mad about that. They're going to respect you more for it because you've come in and said, listen, I haven't done my part. And what do I need to do to get, back in a guy you can trust out of the bullpen and stuff like that. And then ultimately it's up to you. And we'll talk a little bit more about development and philosophy and kind of my overall philosophy on, guys thinking they have ceilings and stuff like that. And I think that kind of mindset has really hurt the development of a lot of players. You talk about, well, this guy, his ceiling's probably here. This is about as good as he can get. And, I don't necessarily agree with that. From players I've played with all the way up to in the professional level, in college, guys that just kind of came out of nowhere and ended up having great careers. So we'll get into that as well. I'm going to pull up the first game here, and we're going to cover. Let's see what we got here. We're going to cover a little bit, a few SEC games. SEC, we talked about it. I mean, the ACC and the SEC we talked about yesterday have just been gauntlets, and have just been literal nightmares for coaches every weekend because you just have no idea what you're going to get. Every team is competitive in both conferences. It's just every weekend you just can't afford to take off. So we're going to take a look at Alabama, Arkansas. This is game 2. 2 top 25 teams, number 1 and number 25.
In Alabama and Arkansas, game 2 is underway. First pitch fastball, a little high from Perone.
Last 4 or 5 games, I'm pretty sure the offense is doing really well.
Chops it to first, but Will Hodo will make the play to close out the inning. 3 ground ball outs induced by Greg Perone.
1-2-3 inning for Alabama, exactly how you drew it up.
Waves and misses at that.
Couple of lefties on the mound.
First strikeout for Mason Molina.
It could almost start Friday night for most clubs.
Yeah, and notice right here, guys. So this is game 2. So this is a Saturday game. So this is usually, this is going to be your second best starting pitcher. Sometimes you may game plan and, throw your ace Friday and your number 2 on Sunday to kind of mismatch against a number 3 starter. But most schools are going to have their number 2 guy here. And both lefties, fastball sitting around 90. So, and this is the number 1 team in the country versus the number 25 team in the country, both SEC teams. So don't think that you have to have this elite level velocity to be a starter at a Power 5 school. What they're really looking for, and I've said it many times over the last few weeks, is right now in college baseball, if you can throw high 80s, low 90s, and you can really command 3 pitches for strikes, you're going to be a big-time contributor for whatever team you're playing for. And so, again, I've talked about it. I've put some videos out about it. If you're a pitcher at home, make sure you are dialing in your command and getting as comfortable throwing your pitches as possible. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's all feel. And the better you get with that, the quicker you get better with that, I promise you, you can go a lot higher than you think you can as far as what level of school you end up playing at.
The first baseman puts it away, and that'll close out the inning. And a base hit to right field.
And so we get the base hit
with
2 outs. Not a lot of action going on here early. You see this, guys. I mean, this is, again, we're talking about how much of a monster the SEC is as far as conference schedule. Alabama's at 4-9 in conference, and they're number 25 in the country. So this is it's going to be interesting talking NCAA tournament this year. And really for the years to come, because, I think it's next year you got Texas and who's the other one moving to the SEC? I could be wrong. Anyone want to help me out with that? But anyway, these conferences are getting so loaded, and we're only talking the ACC and the SEC. Each conference has like 10 or 11 schools just either in the top 25 or just outside of the top 25. And so what do you do with Alabama if they're ranked number 25 in the country and they finish with let's say they finish at 13-17 in conference? In years past, I mean, that's going to be tough to get into the NCAA tournament unless you win the SEC championship. But you're seeing this even with Florida this past weekend. I mean, they're like 17-16 on the year, and they're ranked.
Lifts it high to left field. Backing up on it is Petrutz. He'll make the grab. 3 ground outs last inning, 3 fly ball outs for the Razorbacks here. And
Alabama just not being able to get anything going so far.
Number 5 of conference play. Here's Will Hodo teeing off on one deep to right field to give Alabama the early lead. A solo shot for Hodo makes it 1-0 Crimson Tide.
And there's home run number 1. Home run counter. Who's counting the home runs? Who's tallying them up? And really not a bad pitch. I mean, kind of threw it threw it on the inner
Ninth
third.
over
Just a
the
great
year
swing
for
there
Will Hodo.
to get the bat head to it and not hook it. Hit it with backspin.
Popped up to third base in the spot of Matt Cassetti. Rips this
Great
into right
two
field
strike
for a
hitting
base
there.
hit. All the way to the wall. Double for Cade Snell following the home run.
And you don't see any triples
Great
anymore.
start to this second inning
You just
for
never see
Alabama.
triples anymore.
Lays down a bunt.
This is a beauty. No play. Don't even throw it.
Can't make the
That's who you want to
play.
field at the pitcher every time. All right, we'll look over at this bunt. So this is,
Can't make the lays
and so
down
this is actually, this is that kind of bunt for hit sacrifice combined. And you see the hitter for Arkansas, left-handed pitcher. Pitcher's just never going to be, you know, always want them to field the ball because they're going to take longer to get rid of it. And this is just beautiful. Now, against the lefty, you could go either way, but with the runner on second, you kind of want to draw the third baseman in so that the runner from second is going to easily advance to third. And this is just a perfect textbook bunt. Sees it down. Let's get a little bit. Look at that. Squares around early. He squared around super early. But if you put it down in a perfect spot and you can run, you're safe by a mile here. And see, I mean, that's what you want. You want the pitcher going for it. He's got no chance even if he picks that ball up. And so beautiful bunt there.
Sometimes guys put more
And
pressure
that's
on
just
themselves
not
as
the
you
kind
see
of
he
a
goes
bat
up
you
in
want
the
to
zone.
see with runners on first and third. Swinging at that pitch. I mean, that's, you know, that's tough.
Squares around again, pops it up.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
catch
And then
made
Arkansas
Hudson
just,
White. Two gone. Excellent work by the Razorback catcher.
oh, excuse me. This is Alabama hitting. Okay, this is Alabama hitting. And, you know, I hate it when both teams are wearing white. Anyway. So two terrible at-bats with runners on first and third, no outs. And, you know, that bunt, I'm guessing it was kind of a safety squeeze, but he bunts it way up out of the zone. Terrible decision. And now Arkansas is just about to get out of this inning. Great job by the starting pitcher and showing a lot of poise there.
And the strikeout closes out the inning.
And that's just a momentum killer.
Stovall
And
sends
look,
it high and deep
oh, we'll
in the
see
air to
here.
right
Is this home run
field.
number 2?
Off the base of the
Wow.
wall.
He must not have got that at all for it to not go out.
Stovall's first hit
In
of the
today's
series,
era.
a two-out double to
But
extend
this
the
is
third.
this is the momentum shift right here. So your team has first and third, no out. And baseball is such a momentum game. And you strike out, you pop up a bunt, and then you strike out again. Arkansas is coming into that dugout, getting ready to hit with so much momentum because as a player, you're thinking, God, we're about to give up a few runs here. And your pitcher just does a heck of a job to get out of it. You're ready to go.
4-pitch walk to
And a little kind of a 2-out rally starting here.
with the 1-2. Fastball, went around, strike
But he's
three.
able to get out of it.
Strikeout closes out this top of the third.
Be able to win when they wanted to, but outstanding bench coach.
Miller deep down the left field line.
Home run number 2 on the day for Alabama.
Homer by Gage Miller. 2-0.
And this is the thing, guys. I mean, Alabama's 4-9 in conference. Think about it. But they're right now looking great against the number 1 team in the country. He's 12-1 in the SEC, which is just ridiculous.
Team leading 14th homer of the year for Miller.
Well, Roger, guess what? You can raise that average on the slider because that's what that
Keep
was.
the hands
81
inside,
miles
tight.
an hour,
I mean,
trying to
direct,
get the
tight
slider back
swing.
foot. It's up enough, and Miller, I'm telling you, it's such a short,
Lower half
quick
works
stroke,
really well.
and that ball was rocketed out off the fair pole.
But the saying goes, I mean, solo shots aren't going to beat you. So right now, Alabama, they got a 2-run lead, but just not getting a lot of guys on base besides those home runs.
To right field, Slights can't get to it. He'll drop in for a hit.
Camera guy lost the ball there.
For Peyton Holtz, his first game in the starting lineup against Alabama. Throw to first. Here's Hodo on to second. LeBron with a tag. Safe the call.
Wow. Oh, we don't even get a replay on that. An angle is so bad it would not even worth looking at again. But
McCants is there for the out to
somehow they
close
messed
out
that
the
one
inning.
up.
Got him swinging. Fastball at 89.
Fastball at 89 by you. Oh, my.
Stovall crushes it deep down the right field line. And gone.
And Alabama with
Peyton
3
Stovall
solo
gets the
shots so
Razorbacks
far.
on the board with a solo homer to make it a 2-1 game in the
And this is
fifth.
what I'm talking about is, you know, again, Alabama had 3 home runs, but only 3 runs on the game. So
Boy, Roger, 2-0. And that's, he fell
now you got a
behind.
2-run lead, which in today's game is basically no lead.
Fire, getting that 2-0 count a lot. He gets 2-0. Stovall makes
really good swing there to get on top of that.
Great extension right there.
And when we say get on top of that, meaning your bat plane, your plane had to get really flat and stay through that baseball and not get under it.
2-2. Called third strike on the slider, inner half of the plate. Strikeout will close out the inning.
I'm getting so confused with which team is which that I guess that was Arkansas that hit the home run. So it wasn't Alabama. Can we make one of these teams wear gray? You have the same colors. The A on your hat looks basically the same.
The strikeout will close out this bottom of the 5th. See us set down 7 Crimson Tide hitters in a row. Hit high to straightaway center field. Racing back out of McCants.
All right, so we got 4 home runs now.
Jared Sprague-Lott is
4 home runs in 6 innings. And this is the general theme, guys. I've talked to you guys about how the bats are so juiced in college. Not just the bats, but the balls too. And really, it's, the bat. I think it's just the bat technology in BB Core has gotten substantially better. And so, I mean, I think every game I've gone over and discussed with you guys, it's what, 5 home runs on average in a game? I mean, we're at 4 here in the 6th inning.
In the top of the 6th.
Arkansas ties it up. Both teams just not really able to get a lot of base runners on, but they're hitting some solo shots.
Then he shows the fastball, but the early pitches knew what he wanted. He goes slider, it's a hanger, it's up in the zone. Sprague-Lott, he's sitting in the middle of the order because he's got a lot of power. Showed it yesterday and again today, like you mentioned. Back-to-back days with the home run, and the Hall call is on.
Got him swinging. I'll close out the inning.
So Alabama's got to answer. I mean, they've been
base hit to right.
Haven't scored in a while.
Stovall is playing closer to first base, and Will Hodo with a multi-hit game for the Crimson Tide.
You need to understand that everything you do at the poker table conveys information. You can't be like
going past the 6, but that's due to just the nastiness of their bullpen.
I just don't like
going past the 6.
I mean, this is at your shoulders, right?
Going past the 6.
And this is looks like got a decent 4-seam from Molina. It's one of those pitchers you just got to lay off anything up.
In the air to left.
And he's done a fantastic job of giving up a few solo shots early, but has kept his team in the game, and that's probably his last inning. Six innings, 2 runs. He'll take that every single game.
Fires out Diggs to complete the putout. Got it. 2 gone.
There's not a lot of good competitive swings for either team, really, from what I've seen on this replay.
Got him swinging. Change up at 87. 1-out walk to Guan Garena.
Ow.
85-mile-an-hour
changeup right there.
First pitch swinging, lines out to second. Stovall there onto a
and you see this. I mean, this again. This is just.
This bottom of double play.
All right, here's how you play this, guys. First of all, every base runner should know where his infielders are playing. You have to know where they're playing. Every pitch, you got to turn around and find where they are. So you have a general idea when a line drive is hit. If I need to just freeze, if I can, if I know for sure that's going through, or if it's hit right out of guy, I got to take steps back towards the base. A lot of kids are taught freeze on a line drive. Well, if you got a big secondary, freezing on a line drive, you're still dead to rights if the guy makes the catch. So if it's a line drive and you think it's in the general area of an infielder, you need to start moving back towards the base. You see right here, guy at first base takes another step. You can tell from this guy took another step, and that's all it takes to get out of a jam in a tie game in the bottom of the 7th.
It's always, and they always come up with a hit. Not this one though.
Ground out on the first pitch for Stovall. So the baseball cliches only went so far there, but he's retired to start this top of the 8th. Third baseman strokes it deep to center. McCants makes the grab on this one.
Nothing doing for either team. They got to hit it out of the park to score runs right now. Oof.
Go-ahead run on base for Alabama. LeBron works the wall.
Oof, Alabama working that.
Snell smacks it to left for a base hit. LeBron will stop at second, and the bottom of the 8th continues for Alabama. McCants.
Just how you drew it up.
All the way to the right field corner. LeBron scores. Snell holds it third. T.J. McCants with a go-ahead RBI double makes it 3-2.
I don't know how a base runner doesn't score from first on this. First of all, in this situation, 2 outs. You should have a pretty massive lead at first, and you're just not going to get a secondary lead. But you should have a massive lead because they're not going to be holding you on. And it's 2 strikes. Let's see if I can see what the count is. This thing keeps blocking it. Anyway, 2 outs. As soon as you see contact, you're gone. And if it's 2 strikes, 2 outs, as soon as you see a movement to swing, you're gone. And this is, I mean, the right fielder has to run a long way to get this. And you could say it kind of bounced, but there should be even almost no play at home plate. I don't know why the base runner at first is getting held up. Unless he tripped or something.
I'm telling you, Roger, a lot of it has to do, I'm telling you, just the positivity of that bunt single gets him on the board.
Yeah, he had like no lead
pitches, and he gets
at
that
first.
one where he can handle just inside.
And maybe he's just not a good runner, which could be the case. But
they're waving guys home too. They're one.
Still, I mean, with 2 outs, you've got to score there from first.
Ball 4, the bases loaded.
Now we got a huge situation.
Slow chop to first. McLaughlin will tag out Gowan Garena for the out to close out the inning. But it is the bottom of the 8th that sees Alabama go.
And so you only get 1 run on that one. You could have got 2. And
got him swinging with a slider. 1 gone.
You start to kind of walk when they get to the infield.
Alabama's left-handed closer throwing 94.
For the out, Justin LeBron,
great play there.
The freshman phenom at shortstop. Nobody on base. Peyton Holt, last chance. And he crushes it. High and deep to left
my goodness.
This is gone.
Tie game.
Peyton Holtz tied this game with a solo.
We got a lot of time left on this video, too. So again, what 3 home runs for Arkansas?
He had been hitless at SEC
3 solo shots.
Prior to tonight, but he has paid off in a huge way for the Razorbacks.
How about Coach Dave Van Horn pulled the trigger on Holt, and he says, "Thank you, Coach."
Pinch hit. Great move by Dave Van Horn, head coach.
On the grass, first base side, Davis comes up with it, but the play late.
Uh-oh.
Razorbacks now with a go.
Uh-oh. That's a tough play for a left-handed pitcher. I mean, he shouldn't have tried to barehand it. I think at the last second he tried to barehand.
And safe the call at second.
And then they got it. All right, steal a second.
2-2. Fastball for a called third strike.
Yeah, that was probably inside, but good pitch right there. 2 strikes, busting them in.
As well.
A little bit in off the plate.
And then it leads to a strikeout. 1 gone in the 9th. Came inside and hit him. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Now the winning run on base for Alabama.
All right, so here we go, guys. And we got, we talk about this.
1 gone in the 9th. 1 gone.
Look at this. This is kind of hardo antics.
Maybe even a little bit out as well.
Strike 3. Walk towards the hitter. Stare him down. Up. Then you hit a guy.
Came inside and hit him.
Then you hit the next guy. And so you can tell that's what happened because Arkansas's guys kind of staring him down back. Or sorry, Alabama's guys staring him down back. But can we wait till we finish the inning before we start staring dudes down? At least. Because then again, he may get out of this inning, but like you give up you strike a guy out, you stare him down, and you kind of walk towards home plate, and then you hit 2 guys in a row. You just kind of look like an idiot.
It's Petrut, so 2 men on base for the Crimson Tide, and now the winning run in scoring position.
You know, Roger, that's not the pitch I like.
Fly ball deep to right. Diggs hustling back.
Great play.
Makes the catch for the out. Gage Miller hustles to third base, and there are 2 gone in the inning. Kendall Diggs laying out and making a huge play for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, we'll talk about that play. We'll go back and look at it. I thought they might show a replay. Let's just see let's see what his jump looks like. Guys, we're going to be objective here. Just because you dive and make a catch doesn't mean it necessarily was a tough play. There's so many times guys play, the way they go after a ball, the way their route is shaped, the way how quick their jump is makes a play harder than it looks.
Fly ball deep to right. Diggs hustling back.
Okay. So I'm going to say this. Just watch his feet and tell me what you see. Is he running full stride?
Fly ball deep to right.
Or is he sidestepping?
Diggs hustling back.
He stutter steps like 6 times and then jumps. If he's just full stride, he catches it like this. It's an athletic play, don't get me wrong, but again, I think you're seeing this so much, and we've gone over some of these in videos, but the outfielders are just like, the technique they're using is not right. So many guys that are running back on balls are doing this little sidestep.
To shortstop, Aloy has it.
And so the defense bails out the pitcher.
Great defense continues.
Defense bails him out.
Aloy to close out this bottom of the ninth. Gage Wood sends this game to extra innings.
And this guy's got some nasty stuff. All arms and legs coming at you. 95 lefty, big hook too. Hanger.
Breaking ball hits a left field. Backing up on it, hold all the way.
Oh my gosh! Please don't get thrown out at second because you were pimping it. Okay.
Lead off double to begin the Alabama 10th.
Oh my gosh! Get bailed out.
Throws wild. Here comes Sweeney. Alabama wins in 10 innings, 4-3.
And this is an example of why pitchers get knocked on for not being athletes. First of all, this is exactly how you drew it up with no outs and a runner on second. Hit right back to you. The runner, if you're an athlete on the mound, you may be able to get the out at third, but, the panic mode, sails it. If anything, just hold that. You walk the bases loaded, and now you have a force out at every base, but the guy just panics.
Alabama wins in 10 innings,
and Alabama takes the game over Arkansas.
The losing streak is over for the Crimson Tide as
5-game losing streak ended.
Number 1 Arkansas, its first loss in 11 games.
All right. So we got one more game we're going to look at. And pull that up right now. And this is going to be Tennessee and LSU. And we've talked about, look at LSU's record in the SEC, 3-11. This is game 3. They've lost 2 on the weekend already. And we're just going to kind of look in to see what may be going on with LSU. Tennessee, of course, doing what they've done since Tony Vitello and Josh Elander got to Knoxville. Elander, one of my good friends, we actually played together in professional baseball. I'm going to try to get him on the show in the next few weeks and just talk about what they're doing at Tennessee. That's really, turned a program around that was just, bottom of the SEC for a decade almost. And Tony Vitello and Josh Elander came from Arkansas. Elander was the volunteer assistant. He went with Tony. When Tony got the head coaching job, he became the recruiting coordinator, and it's been all of a sudden, Tennessee's just a national power in college baseball. Big update to their facility recently. I think this year is the first year with it. Okay, what do we see, guys? Sunday starter for Tennessee, who's number 4 in the country. 87-mile-an-hour fastball. So you know, for all, and I know you guys, if you guys are on social media and you're baseball people, you see all these gurus talking about, well, velocity is the number one thing that's going to make you the best, you know, and that's not what all of them say. I'm making a joke, but at some point, people need to learn and realize this, the reality of college baseball is that the guys that are the most successful have the best command. I'm going to say that again. Velocity is great, but if you cannot throw strikes in the SEC, you're getting lit up. If you're throwing 95 and you're behind every hitter 2-0-3-1, you're getting lit up. I don't care how hard you throw. You know, these are the best offenses talent-wise in the country, SEC and ACC. 95 is not what it used to be. I can promise you. I can promise you because I've played it. I've been there. I've played in professional baseball. I've been in big league camp. I've faced guys throwing 105. 95 at some point in your development, it's like, oh, okay, so 95. It's not a big deal. You get to AA in professional baseball, it's every single starter. 95 is like average. A guy that can touch 95, he's usually sitting around 92, 94. That's like an average. That's an average fastball in professional baseball now. And you're seeing that really a lot around the ACC, SEC. You see more guys in that area. But again, I mean, look at this guy, left-handed pitcher. He's throwing 87.
That is a 4-pitch walk for Tommy, so there'll be a runner on and one out.
Really funky angle. You see that kind of crossfire. Looks like he's throwing it from first base. And I don't know, how is this guy striking people out with an 87-mile-an-hour fastball? Actually, pretty good play from the pitcher right there.
That one is popped up. Milam will make the catch, and the inning is over. And Ashton Larson, who is the designated hitter today, and he'll look at a called third strike. You're almost a definite shoe-in in this league. Sharply hit, glove there by Curley. Can he make this play? And the throw, a 3-hopper over there, but Bingham beats it out. He's a monster regardless. Runner goes.
77-mile-an-hour slider. And then, again, man, what are we doing? And this is what I'm taught. When I talked to you guys earlier, it was maybe yesterday or last week, when we talked about professional organizations are viewing every player that comes into their organization and their system as a guy with zero baseball IQ. This is why. You're stealing. Maybe it's a hit and run. Maybe it's not. But if you're stealing, don't give me I can't take a peek in as the ball's crossing home plate to see where the ball's hit. That's middle school, high school stuff. If you're playing at an SEC, ACC, you're playing college baseball at all at the Division I level, at any level. This is like little baby stuff. Little baby stuff. Get your jump. Peek in as the ball is being released to see if it gets hit, if the catcher bobbles it, if it goes all the way to backstop. You got to have information. Here we go.
Runner goes, and that's why they call him monster. Nice job at the plate by the freshman Stephen Milam. Lays down the bunt right in front of
and what I was going to say here, sorry, I kind of went off on a rant, forgot what I was going to say. This guy crushes it in the hole. Nobody is there. Second baseman is covering. He slides into second base. At least round it. Maybe it's not a good. It's crushed. It's probably not a good ball to go first to third on. But why are you sliding into second base? Now you're starting to see kind of LSU struggles here. What's going on? Bunts it. Not a good bunt. Gets the out. Catcher's able to get the out at first. Grounded a double play. So LSU just squanders an early scoring opportunity because, maybe their guy could have gone first to third there. And then there's, they're not probably going to maybe safety squeeze to get a run, but that's really not LSU's style. and then you sacrifice to move 2 guys in runners in scoring position, and you bunt it. You kill it so much the catcher throws a guy out at third.
Start of the year, 9 appearances out of the bullpen, and he did go this time. Jeff Head says so. There's the tag and the strikeout.
That looked like a tough check swing call, but
and that is a strikeout, and the inning is over for the Crimson Tide with 87 strikeouts. There's a ground ball off the bat of Cal Stark. I'm just telling you. There's a ground.
When Google Fiber first launched 1 gig, it cost
$70.
Okay, but
ball. Milam's going to have to move to his left. Nice play by the second baseman. That'll be the second out. Lifted high.
And then Tennessee comes in.
To the wall. This one is out.
First home run we've seen in a little bit. First home run we've seen.
What a way to keep the streak alive.
This is like old school David Ortiz playing it off the big monster in Fenway right here. Just play the wind. Ball high to left field, inside out, catches it a little deep, but that is the exact ball flight you need to take advantage of the conditions today. Nothing going out of the park.
The SEC tournament. I think it's a base knock here. The shift was on, and he went through the right side of the second base bag.
So Tennessee takes lead with a 2-run home run over LSU. And again, we talked about LSU had some opportunities early to kind of get something going, but wasn't able to.
Throw and safe.
Got to start trying new things.
That ball shot out to right. This will get a run home. So Ashton Larson picks up a stolen base, and it pays dividends.
And then they finally get a run across in the fourth. But you can see, I mean, this LSU offense is struggling right now to kind of have big innings. And then you get picked off. With 2 outs, it's not a bad idea. You're trying to go first move, but you have to know if your guy's a reader or if he's just a guy who knows if he makes a decision he's picking off before.
Up the middle and shaded up the middle, and that one is played well by Milam. Starts Tinsley off with a strikeout.
Gas.
High in the air, out to left center. Wind pushing it that way. Boy, I tell you what.
Oh my. Oh my.
Right into
Oh my.
Bingham.
Okay, so this is just your classic example, and I'm telling you, we've seen outfielders at the highest level, and the SEC and the ACC are just struggling right now. We'll have an idea of whose ball this is. I mean, this is left. First of all, what happens a lot of times is your really good center fielders, they are going hard until they hear a corner outfielder call it. Because they don't know, you might have lost it in the sun. You might not have you might have fallen over going after it. And so if I'm the center fielder and I know I can get to the ball, I'm going. Now, at some point, if you've run a long way, you might want to peek over and see if your guy's just camped there. But I'm assuming what happens here is the left fielder doesn't call the ball at all, or he's really quiet. And so the center fielder's thinking, oh, I got to get this. And luckily for LSU, he gets bodied by the center fielder too. But luckily for LSU, the ball is caught. Because that would have been a nightmare. It would have been 3 bases at least, maybe even inside the park home run.
Electric is the best way to sum that up. High in the air, out to
And that one got launched.
I don't think there's a chance this one stays in the ballpark. And Hayden Travinsky just went yard and tied this thing up, his 9th of the year.
And you see, I mean, what we're seeing across the SEC, I mean, from these 2 games we've watched is tough to get base runners on. A lot of home runs being hit, but just not very big innings. And this is just a meatball right down the middle. Great swing. Knows it's hit right away. But I like this. He's pimping it a little bit, but he's not being ridiculous with it. Maybe a back-to-back. Wind's blowing straight in, though.
Out to right center. That one drops. He's going to try to stretch this into double. Here's the throw.
Oh, I think they're going to review that maybe. But again, I mean, this is just exactly what LSU is dealing with. And we'll go back to see this play. I mean, look at, so this is, okay, so this is all the wind here. This ball's crushed. And look at the right fielder's route. He's running deep after this. He thinks this is going to get to the wall. And then he cuts in because the wind just knocked it down. Great job by the center fielder backing up. Not sure what the base runner's doing, and not sure how it's this close at center or at second base, but they're going to review it, I would guess. It looked like to me he got in there. Yeah, he should be safe unless unless that leg is blocking the base. No, I think he gets in there safe. Jeff Heads, the umpire at second base. I don't have a great history with him. Threw me out of a few games in independent ball. So yeah, I mean, I guess they ended up not overturning it and calling him out. Must not have been good enough, 100% evidence, but and this ball is just absolutely touched. Yeah, and again, I'm all fine for that. It's a close game. Again, the difference, and I've talked about it with you guys before, is pitchers strike out however many guys a season, a lot. Hitters hit like 10 home runs a year. So when guys do this, when they hit a home run, it's a little bit more justifiable. But again, this is a tight game. Later in the game, he gets all of this. Pitcher on the mound, if you watched earlier, was kind of running his mouth. And this is why you don't do that if you're a pitcher, because if it's your last inning and you've pitched a gem and you want to come off and do your little dance, fine. But again, we've talked about you just kind of motivating the opposing team when you come in and start running your mouth early, and you end up giving up the lead.
For a guy that loves to swing as hard as he can swing and hit it as hard as he can hit it. Wins 14-2. This one high in the air out to left. Who's going to make?
And at a park at Tennessee, that the ball usually flies. The wind is really knocking a lot of stuff down. Unless you hit it to straight up left field, it's going to be tough to get one out.
It's the Volunteers back in the dugout. Lined. Off the back of the glove of Braswell.
Yeah, and this is just a tough play for the shortstop, especially on turf, because the ball just bounces so hard off the turf. You got to try to pick it, and I mean, okay. All right. Please, guys, if you're a player, or if your son is a player, can we not pimp walks? Just watch this hitter after he walks. Stares down the pitcher. You walked. Great bunt from Tennessee. Like we saw earlier with LSU, they were not able to execute the no-outs bunt with 2 runners on. Tennessee does it textbook. And guys, I mean, this ad right here, and I'm sure Elander's getting on him for this. So you're going to talk about this. You're in a 3-2 count with runners on second and third, no outs. You cannot take this pitch. You got to put it in play. You're up by 1 run. You strike out here. You got 1 more chance with 2 outs to score. You cannot take this pitch, and really, this is a good pitch to hit. A little bit in, but it's a slider. It's up, and hitter takes it for strike 3. Puts it in the umpire's hands, but his teammate picks him up, I think, if it stays fair. And like I said, the ball is still going to go to straight up left field. That's the only place you're getting it out. With the way that wind is blowing in the game, it may be different now. But huge momentum shift for Tennessee now. And if you're LSU, who's 3-11 in the SEC conference schedule so far, I mean, you're starting to think, oh, no, not again. So you want to get hyped up on that? Get hyped up on that. No crazy bat flip. Watches it for a little bit. Sets the ball. I mean, this ball went again. I mean, that ball should have gone probably out of the stadium, and it's in that second deck right there. And yeah, you see the wind. That ball was touched, and it's off the wall. That's a pretty good one, actually. 20 doubles on the year for Burke. Sword. That's a sword right there.
Tears goes down. I mean, you got to be able to appreciate that when it's happening. Round ball back up the middle. That one scoots through, so a base hit for Braswell, his first today.
Good attempt by the pitcher, really trying to knock that down, but pitcher doesn't get it. No one's getting it. Oh, we got an ad. Unfortunate. Tommy Tanks just unloads on one.
That is over the party deck.
Yeah, that was crushed. That was crushed. A lot of people are, I've had some conversations with people about where he's going to get picked in the draft. And I think the issue with Tommy White is any evaluator is going to say they love the bat. He's got great plate discipline, great big time power. But I think there's some serious question marks about overall position on where he plays. And, unless you're in just what people feel like is an elite hitter on top of having elite power, it's very hard for a guy who's going to be looked at as a first baseman / DH to get picked, let's say, in the top 5 picks of the draft, because you're at that point, you're drafting what you think is going to be a superstar, and not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side as well, as if you can get it. And so I think Tommy White's going to end up, he sneak into the top 10 possibly, but I think he'll be drafted around 15 is the most likely area, depending on how he finishes the year. Again, all it takes is one team to really fall in love with the guy, and they can kind of overdraft. But I think he falls around the middle of the first round, maybe even to the latter parts of the first round. But I don't think he falls any further than that, because, the career he's put up in college baseball with the power, the walks, that's going to get him picked somewhere in the first round. But I do think, there's question marks about the body, how he's going to age and how he's going to be able to move. And so I think most teams are going to write him in as a first baseman or a DH. And I think he'll be given an opportunity to play third at the professional level, especially in those first few seasons. But I think they're going to evaluate him quickly on if that's something that he can do at the next level. Because, third base, you got to be elite. Third baseman in professional baseball now is an elite defender. I mean, you think about Nolan Arenado. It is a position that has a huge demand defensively.
A matter of time before Tommy Tanks joined in on the fun. I talked about it with Travinsky. When the guy like Travinsky or White catches one good on a day like today where the wind's blowing that hard over the left.
Yeah, 2-run shot, but it just might not be enough.
Over the party deck, and Tommy White just exhibit A with that right there. A bomb.
Might not be enough to get LSU back in this game in the 8th inning. In the middle of your order kind of going by already. And that's the issue is, you don't make it back in this inning. You're going to have the bottom of your order coming up to start the 9th.
Down goes Travinsky. Ground ball to the right side.
Yeah, and just 1, 2, 3. Reliever comes in, easy pickings.
Line, but right at the second baseman, Milam. Sharply hit past Brad.
And the base runner reaches for Tennessee. Some good swings off this guy. I mean, just kind of hitting balls right at guys.
And he draws the walk. Moore with 2 home runs today. That one's lifted high in the air.
Wynn's going to mess with this one big time. Look at this, guy.
Nobody can catch it. 2 runs will score.
Great base running from Tennessee. Guys are hustling.
See what just happened to that baseball.
But let's look at this again. So, okay, we know the wind is howling in. I'm not even at the field. I saw the flags in some of the replays. I know the wind is blowing in hard. If you're an outfielder, you know that if this ball's hit high in the air, it's going to be way further in than you think. And what happens? Both these guys break hard back, and then they're both just kind of drifting after it. Shortstop doesn't want to make a play, but I mean, this ball lands. Well, I don't know what the center fielder's doing. I don't know what the center fielder's doing. He's just kind of drifting. And Tennessee's base runners are actually playing the game, and so they score all the way from first. And that's the difference in, we'll see what happens in the ninth, but now you got to hit a grand slam to tie it instead of a 2-run shot. And you still have the opportunity to score more runs. Huge 2 runs there. Pitcher, not their ERA, right, pitcher? Not their ERA. And you see that, like, look at this swing. I mean, this ball gets crushed and it goes nowhere. Easy second out, not looking good for LSU. And that's the ball game. And LSU 3-12 in their first 15 games in the SEC this year. Biggest surprise of the year. And you can see why. Just not playing good baseball, really. I mean, just not executing their bunts down. Base running's not great. The defense is making a lot of misplays. And it goes back to what I talked about earlier with professional organizations. When they draft a guy now, they are viewing them as someone we have to teach instincts. Because they're, again, like the guy said in spring training, we're going to look at you like you have 0 baseball IQ. Because not knowing what the wind's going to do to a baseball, not getting a bunt down effectively, sliding into second on a steal when a guy lasers one into right field for a base hit. It's just across the board. I mean, defense, offense, base running, you're just seeing things that lead to a struggle to win in the SEC. And on the flip side, Tennessee, for the most part, playing really good baseball. This is a team that hits for a lot of power, but they're, when they get called on to put the bunt down to move a couple guys over, they get it done. And again, if you're a player at home or your son is, in high school right now, it is a breath of fresh air, I can tell you, from a coach's perspective, to see a kid walk on campus and, he knows what he's supposed to do in situations. The goal of every coach is if, you teach your guys well enough, they walk up into a situation, they know what their job is. Runner on second and third, no outs. Get them in, get them over. Get them in, get them over. I don't need to tell you what to do. But that's something you're seeing more and more of, is even these guys that are playing at the top tier of schools don't really have a good idea of what they're trying to do. And, that's, again, and that's something that coaches are having to adjust to, is going back to fundamentals, going back to situations in practice. And I'm sure LSU's doing this, don't get me wrong. I just think, sometimes you can tell a kid 5 ways what he's doing wrong and what he's got to do, but ultimately he's the one that's got to do it. The coach can't play the game. And just from watching that game, you can tell LSU is just one of the reasons why they've struggled so hard to start the year. And it's looking like they're probably not going to even make it into they may not make it into the SEC. Probably not going to make it in the SEC tournament. It's going to be tough. And I don't know who their upcoming schedule is. It could be they might have faced the toughest guys in the SEC. But like I said, in the SEC, there's no weekend off. There's 2 conferences in college baseball where there's no weekend off at all. And that's the ACC and the SEC. And so just not a good performance from LSU. And especially when you lose the first 2 and then you get swept on the road, that's a tough bus ride home for the boys. Not a lot of talking and conversing and having fun on those road trips back when you get swept. And that, one of the most fun things about college baseball is obviously you're with all your friends. You have a big weekend series on the road and you win 2 out of 3 or you sweep them. That bus ride back is just, you're just chilling with your boys on the bus and you're happy. I mean, you went in and did what you're supposed to do, but it's the exact opposite when you get swept on the road like that. And especially the situation that LSU's in now, that was probably a quiet couple buses on the way back to Baton Rouge. But anyway, we'll move on from there. Like I said, guys, probably going to end the stream here shortly. We are going to have some guests on coming up soon, maybe near the end of this week. And next week for sure, going to get some college coaches on, talk about recruiting, talk about coaching, what kids should be doing, the type of guys they like to recruit. And I'm not talking the cliched, we want guys that are really good teammates and play hard. I mean, duh. That's what you'll see sometimes. People tell you, well, they want guys that play hard. It's like, yeah. Didn't need to get a coach on to tell you that. Anyway, if you guys do have suggestions on things that maybe a situation you saw in a particular game coming up this weekend or tonight, being Tuesday, we're going to have some midweek action. May even do a stream later tonight. I can't stream the games, but I can tell you guys what game I'm watching and we can talk about it. And you guys can make comments and stuff like that. But, we'll have some action to cover tomorrow from the midweeks. And I know Georgia Tech's going down to play Auburn tonight. And so there's going to be some big matchups in the midweek. And then we'll have another show tomorrow and talking through some of those midweek games, and then some stuff going on in MLB and, the ongoing stuff with the arm injuries and everything like that. And it'll be good. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you again maybe later tonight. I'll post something.